Good evening, everybody. This is ButteryGreg here, and I'm casting game number 2 between JimRiSiNg and krikara from ESEA week number 1. I'm sorry I didn't post this game sooner. I've been really caught up in Skyrim because that just came out over the weekend, and like most people, I imagine, I've been playing it pretty much non-stop. So, finally got back into casting, and like I said, this is game number 2 between JimRiSiNg and krikara. It is going to be another ZVT, and we're going to be playing on MLG Antiga Shipyards. So spawning down here in the bottom right, we've got JimRiSiNg from Team Legion, and his opponent in the top left is going to be krikara from Area 51 Gaming. Game number 1, we saw krikara win. I can't really remember exactly how. I promised I would cast this game like right after the last one, and that just didn't happen. I do my casting right before the Playhem every day, so I got distracted because I had to play the Playhem, and then I was like, ooh, Skyrim, and I played for like 4 hours. So, sorry guys, but here we are. Anyway, no recap. All I know is that krikara is leading the series 1-0, and that that's really all I can tell you because I wasn't going to spoil anything else. So I'll leave the results of all the other games until those games get posted. We do have Jim moving out here with a scouting drone going north, and then he's going to go left after that. They're cross positions, so it's pretty much the worst opportunity for him to find him. But it looks like krikara is actually scouting diagonally first. This is an interesting decision. I think this is actually kind of reasonable against Zerg to generally scout the cross positions, because the Overlord is always going to go towards one of the bases, either left or right, and then the drone is going to go in the other direction. So if your opponent is vertically or horizontally from you, you're going to see some sort of a scout very quickly. So you might as well hit that cross position first. I don't know, that's kind of my reasoning there against Zerg. I generally scout cross position against Zerg as well, but it's usually kind of hard to justify on maps like Antiga Shipyard because there's no close spawn to have disabled. Anyway, in terms of strategy, it looks like JimRiSiNg opened with a 15 hatch, whereas krikara is opening with a 2 racks. Jim's drone does get here. He's going to spot this. He sees the first Marine moving out. The SCV is holding the watchtower in the middle. He's not building any bunkers down here at the natural. He actually had a really good opportunity to begin a bunker rush because Jim went 15 hatch. He scouted it first with cross position, and Jim's pool's still not quite done. He's only just now begun mining gas, so it's actually going to be quite some time before he has circling speed. But on the plus side, he will be able to throw down a spine crawler, and it looks like he's actually going to go for a roach warren pretty immediately in his base. This is almost certainly because he scouted these 2 racks. He didn't get a chance to see the gas, but with these 2 racks coming up as quickly as they did, he no doubt expects it to be a little SCV push here. Or not SCV, Marine push. He's not going to push with his SCVs. He might pull his SCVs if it's an all-in, but somehow I highly doubt that, because he would be in a little bit of a different position right now if he were going for an all-in. Anyway, Jim is making exactly 1 queen at his natural at the moment, and I'm surprised he's not going for the second queen, but he's more than likely stockpiling some money to get a bunch of roaches as soon as his roach warren finishes. So there the roach warren pops, and here we see 4 roaches coming out. I wonder if they're going to be ready before this little poke gets here. This could do a good bit of damage if the roaches aren't in position in time. He's got 5 coming out. Looks like he's going to go up the ramp. Roaches are still not there. Oh no, he's dancing back and forth, and he might stop to take out this Overlord. This Overlord, he's going to supply block Jim by killing this Overlord, but it's going to give him the time that he needs to get his 5 roaches out, and it is probably going to be enough to defend this at that point. Snipes the first Marine. He's focusing down the Marines, and the Marines really do all the damage here, so they're the ones he needs to kill. The SCVs just kind of tank damage. Picks off all the Marines. He's left with 4 roaches. Grabs all the SCVs, so he is supply blocked, but he handled that quite well and definitely came out in an excellent position. So Jim's response, of course, is going to be to go immediately back across the map and try to poke back with his roaches. Generally, Terran players, especially if they don't take gas, of course Jim didn't scout the no gas, but if they open with his 2 racks, they have a lot of minerals, and they don't have any gas, so they like to take this expansion, which means that the little roach counter push can actually be pretty dangerous if these bunkers aren't up in time, because roaches are very, very good against Marines. But it looks like krikara is throwing down the double bunkers, so I wouldn't be surprised if he lost all these Marines, but he's certainly not gonna die here. Jim smartly picks off 1 SCV making a bunker. Looks like he's trying to get the second one. There you go. So he's going to be able to deny both of these bunkers. krikara would be better off just canceling them right now, although he is using them to soak up some damage from those roaches. Pulls a couple of SCVs, and he actually has a reasonable marine count if all the marines would get in on the fighting. So he's going to be able to repel this, but it's going to cost him a number of marines. Down to 2 roaches. He's already lost 4 marines. He gets this bunker up, but he's going to lose this mule and some SCVs. This is a pretty effective little counterpoke here. We see Jim is droning up behind this the whole time. You know, he's committed all these roaches and he lost them, but he came out with a huge economic advantage because he didn't have to make any aggressive units the entire time that his roaches were in here. We see he's got his natural pretty much saturated with mining drones. He's got his main in a similar position. He's got both of his queens going. He's mining gas, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for a layer tech very soon and then switch into Mutalisk production. He's going for that double Evo chamber, so I think almost every Zerg build involves double Evo chambers, whereas although it's good for Protoss, it's generally only in greedier builds that you see it in Protoss, and some Terran players do it as well, but I've seen a lot of 1 engineering bay out of Terran players. It's interesting that Zerg is kind of the only race that defaults to double upgrade structures. And Jim is going to take a quick third. I think he's in a great economic position, so that's a good decision on his part. Just extends his lead a little bit. His layer tech, here it is, it's at his natural, it's happening. I saw it, no wait, sorry, that's a hatchery. He hasn't even started layer tech. Kind of surprised by this. There we go, layer tech in the main. I think he could have gotten that a little bit sooner because he's kept krikara on, you know, just low tech units like marines for so long that if he's able to get a Mutalisk harass out, even if krikara has mass marines and he's able to defend, let's say krikara gets stim. So then he's got Mutalisks running around, and he has to stim his marines to chase them down, but he doesn't have any medevacs because he's, you know, fast expand builds like this leave you pretty far behind on tech. You have to play some catch up. So if Jim had Mutalisks sooner, which he won't in this case because the 2 starports are already under construction, but if he'd had them sooner, he could have gotten some good Mutalisk harass in here. We see Stim hasn't even started, but if, you know, so he'd actually have a lot of free time to kill SCVs. But if Stim were done and Marines could actually deny that harassing, he'd still be able to drain their hit points just by getting mutas into his opponent's base. So Jim's moving out some Zerglings here to keep an eye on the third. He's going to look at pretty much 2 possible locations, which are the safe one near Terran's base, and then sort of the hidden one that's close by air to Terran's main. Both of these are kind of popular locations for taking a quick third. Looks like Jim's actually going to be going for Infestors. He's gotten his layer tech up and he's throwing down an infestation pit. Infestors are really, really good against mass marines because of fungal growth, and they're also really, really good for shutting down drops. However, they're not very good against bunkers in an aggressive situation like this. So this kind of suggests that Jim's going to be playing, he's going to be playing very economically, and this game's going to continue for some time because he's not making units that he can really use to go kill Terran. He's mostly making units that will make him impervious to Terran. Which, hey, cool, you know, I don't mind being able to hold out indefinitely against Terran and just sort of take bases. Looks like krikara is transitioning from this 2-racks opener into a cloaked Banshee opener. Jim doesn't really have any scouting on. Oh no, he's got this overseer. I was gonna say he doesn't have any scouting, but he sees it now, and you know we're 12 minutes into the game, so cloaked Banshees are a lot less effective. He actually even sees this first Banshee come out. So we see he throws down 4 Spore Crawlers. He needs to add some at his third here, but he's got pretty much 2 at each of his bases, which is a really standard Zerg response. He's even got, yeah, he's got 2 in a Spire here. And that means that this is going to shut down this Banshee play entirely. I think, unfortunately, krikara is kind of committed to something that I would consider to be a little bit cheesy, a little bit too late in the game, because Cloaked Banshees just aren't effective at surprising your opponent past the 10-minute mark. So he should have static defense, and we see that Jim has made several Spore Crawlers. You know, this is a lot. He's got 3 at each base now, but I wouldn't necessarily call it overreacting because he's going to be impervious to these Banshees, which means it's a lot of wasted money on krikara's part to invest in 2 starports with tech labs, this many Banshees, and Cloak, and I think he's really going to see between 0 and 3 drone kills. You know, these Banshees, there's 3 of them, so they're going to get in here and they're going to kill a drone, but they're going to get sniped almost immediately. It's not going to be a cost-effective harassment. Same time, Jim's Spire is about to pop, and he's got +2 melee attacks on the way. So, to me, that indicates that he's going to be going for late game Ultralisk composition. Looks like he actually was able to damage that refinery. I'm not sure why he chose not to do that. Here come the infestors, though. Ooh, does snipe the queen, but throw down a fungal growth. And he's going to have a pretty easy time picking off these banshees with just fungal growth. Did lose that queen. I don't think he needs to have these queens in this fight at this point. He could just back out, but whatever. Another fungal growth goes down, and ooh, this banshee's just sitting here now. Well, whatever. And the fourth banshee in the main. He actually sniped 2 geysers, which is pretty good. He didn't get any drone kills, but sniping these geysers is really, really annoying because it decreases your gas income, and a lot of builds are gas limited, especially on 3 bases. You really want to have all 6 geysers producing gas for you. But other than that, no significant hits to the economy. And if Jim were to finally pick off this banshee and this banshee, which he really could because they both have like 5 hit points, and Jim has mutalisks, it would be pretty low return on investment. Anyway, Jim's going to go for the Mutalisk counter harassment right now, if I can select the right units to watch this. And he gets in right before the missile turrets are done, so he's going to be able to pick off all these SCVs, and Krikara's base is unfortunately defenseless. He's forced to cancel all these. If I were him, I would go for the juicy tech labs right now, but it looks like he's just going to delay the construction on these barracks, which is also a pretty good decision just because it slows down Terran's production. Jim's got a pretty big 50 food lead here. I would kind of expect to see him take another base. He's floating a lot of minerals, so a good decision at this point is take another base, continue macroing, continue on his tech path. He does have the hive on the way, so we're going to see either broodlords or ultralisks pretty soon. Like I said, he's been getting these melee attacks, ground armor, ground attack, so I would expect him to be transitioning to ultralisks very soon. Meanwhile, Terran's setting up his third base. He's got these missile turrets on the way. He's got some marines here until they're done, so he should be fine. There's only about 9 mutalisks on the field right now. He does have a lot of a lot of tank. I was going to say he's got a lot of marine tank, but he doesn't have all that many marines. He's got about 12 plus, actually 8 that are sitting here, so he's got actually 20 marines. That's not a bad count. But against this massive Ling infestor force, I'm not sure this is going to be that effective, because Jim can basically just wait off to the side with his Lings and then use these infestors to fungal all of the marines, because there's not that many of them, and then run the Lings in and handle the tanks. He does go in for this Mutalisk harass. He commits to it, which he managed to pick off the missile turret. I don't think he has the critical Mutalisk ball to really just sort of ignore danger. Like, he's certainly taking a lot of damage here, but he did manage to cancel that refinery, kill a turret, and some SCVs. If we compare harass, it looks like Jim's actually killed 19 workers over all of his harass, which of course we got to remember that includes a bunch of SCVs that he lost to that all in, whereas Krikara's killed 0. So those banshees were just not effective at all, it seems. Okay, so Jim's preparing for the major attack here. Krikara, ooh, he doesn't have siege tech down. I was going to say he's forgotten his tanks on siege, but he doesn't actually have siege tech ready. And that's not a good position to be in with Zerg preparing for a big push here. He is going to run in and attack the natural down here. He's going to lose a lot of Lings, but he should be able to snipe this planetary fortress. Unfortunately, he threw away all of his Mutalisks. He does snipe the PF, and he's just going to retreat with... Well, I think he's going to retreat. It looks like he's actually just kind of committing these Lings. He might be cleaning up supply because he's going to remax with Ultralisks. So that's actually a reasonable decision. Kill off a bunch of these Zerglings. He had way too many of them for this late in the game. He still has a 60 supply lead, plus he cleaned up this third base. So Terran's in a really bad position. Jim's taking his 4th and his 5th base. Actually, they're both done. Terran's going to drop this one, so he's going to be down to just a 4th base. But I'd say Jim is kind of in a commanding lead technology-wise. He's got a bunch of Ultralisks about to come out. He's got the Chitness plating or Chitinous plating, depending on where you're from, for those Ultralisks. He's got Adrenal Glands for his Lings, I believe has already finished, and he's got +3 ground armor and +3 ground attack. Yep, we see they attack in 0.59 seconds, which means that Adrenal Glands is done. Wow, he actually managed to save this. He sent a bunch of Lings up here and was able to clean up that drop. I didn't think they would do anything, so I didn't bother watching it. But it seems I was mistaken. And Jim does not have Baneling speed, much to my surprise. For a late game Ling Baneling composition, you would hope that by 20 minutes he would have Baneling speed. Looks like there is another drop happening in the main, but these Ultralisks are going to be able to shut down the Marines. He actually just picks off a couple of Zerglings and sees the Ultras and decides, hey, I need to retreat. The Infestors are here though, and they're able to fungal growth. so this medevac and all of its Marines are going to get picked off and do basically no damage. Krikara is trying to retake his third here. Jim could easily shut this down with another harass, but he actually hasn't made any more Mutalisks or any more Spire Tech. We see he just have a Spire, so it's going to be all Ling, Ultra Baneling from here on out. And I dare say he could probably A-move this into the Terran base here. There's a lot of tanks, but they're not sieged. He's had Siege Tech for probably 3 or 4 minutes now, and it seems he has just forgotten to siege his tanks. All of his Marines are out of their bunkers, so it looks like he's going to move out. Jim could basically A-move into this, throw down some fungal growths on these tanks and Marines to speed things up. But it looks like Krikara is actually moving out. He's caught unsieged here. He does throw down a lot of splash damage here, but the tanks basically almost kill themselves. And tanks in the front get cleaned up. You don't want to have your tanks in front of your Marines because then you lose all of your support for your Marines. Infestors come in. They don't even have anything to kill. Everything got taken out by these 5 Ultralisks. Well, 4 Ultralisks. I'm not sure where the 5th one went. And with a rather decisive final battle, I think that Krikara is going to be forced to GG out of this quite soon. Oh, here's the 5th Ultralisk. It went straight for the expansion to just decide to kill it. Krikara did throw down a drop here, and he's managed to kill the 5th base. He might even move down towards the 3rd base and continue dropping, but it's going to have no impact on the outcome of this game, because we have 12 infested Terrans spawning around this orbital command. He is moving in to drop the 3rd, but Jim spots it. He's got a Ultralisk and a couple of Banelings, so he kills all of the units, and he's going to reposition this Spore Crawler to try to pick him off. So the Natural's dead. The game is over, and Krikara finally agrees. So there's GG, and this ties the series up 1-1, so now I actually am going to jump into game number 3 and hopefully upload both of these for you tonight. Thanks for watching, guys, and check out game number 3. Very important.